All right, welcome back, Miners fans, to another episode of Valley Chats. Today we are joined by Mr. Kellen Strohmeyer of Dubuque, Iowa, and the University of Iowa, an outfielder for your Mat-Su Miners. I'm Charlie Fellows, of course, and Kellen, it's so great to be joined by you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's a beautiful day. We've filmed the last couple of these in really cloudy conditions. It's been tough to get the lighting right, but I was really missing this weather, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's about time I came back.
So you're out of Dubuque, Iowa, which is, I believe, I looked it up on Google Maps earlier this morning. I think it's on like the eastern side, right by Illinois and Wisconsin, about 60,000 people. What is it like there? What was it like coming up through there?
It's a great town. I really like where I grew up. My whole family's there. Nice to be on the Mississippi River. Not too far from bigger cities like Milwaukee and Chicago. So you get the small town feeling, but you can still get into big cities for stuff like that. So yeah, it's beautiful town growing up in Iowa. I can't complain a lot about it.
So it's interesting that you mentioned you have the small town feel, because I was wondering about this myself. If you dropped Dubuque, Iowa into the state where I'm from, Maine, that would be I believe the second largest city in the entire state. I assume it's nowhere near that on the leaderboard in Iowa, but do you think of yourself as being from a small town, or what is the vibe like there compared to other places in the state?
I guess, yeah, it is definitely a bigger town for Iowa. And I think I want to say it's in the top 10, but I don't know that for sure. But yeah, I guess it doesn't have the full small town, but yeah, it's still only 60,000 people, so it's nothing crazy, not like a big city or anything like that.
Yeah, we talked to Drake yesterday, and he, of course, is from, you know, a town that has about 100 times less people than you do, but it's still interesting to talk to people from all different corners of the country like that. How many people were in your high school graduating class?
Somewhere in the 400s.
Okay.
400, 450, somewhere like that. So yeah, it was a good size. One of the Iowa high schools go up to 4A, so we're a 4A school, so we're one of the bigger schools in the state.
And you played baseball there, I assume.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? What are some memories you have from playing high school ball there?
Oh, it was great. You know, Ben and I were just talking about this last night, how Iowa high school baseball is the best. Like, we love it. Obviously, I think one of two states in the United States that play summer baseball for high school. So season starts in May and then ends mid-July. I think they're starting up the state playoffs right now. So yeah, great weather. Don't have to worry about school and stuff like that. Makes the experience better. And then we also get 5 years of high school baseball on top of that, because you can play going into freshman year. So that's something new too that a lot of guys don't know about Iowa baseball. But yeah, 5 years, summer baseball. Yeah, some of the most fun I've ever had playing baseball.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I didn't know you guys had summer ball. I didn't know you guys had that extra year. That must have prepared you so much better for, you know, the baseball that would follow.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. No, a lot of experience there. Yeah, like I said, super fun, great time.
What would you say is, you know, I'm sure you have so many memories from playing all those years, all those months of ball, but what would you say is the one you treasure the most?
Sophomore year, I think, it was kind of coming off COVID that the governor approved of us having a season, which we didn't think we were going to have a season. So we got, I think, 16-game regular season, and so we were very thankful to be able to do that. And we had a very talented team, so we really wanted to have that year. And I think we had one regular season loss and then lost in the state semifinals. And looking back at it, that team had a handful of guys play Division I baseball, and yeah, it was just fun, just especially with the way the world was then. You know, baseball in Iowa was one of the only things you could do, so we had a lot of support, and yeah, I think that was probably the best year and best memory from high school baseball. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think I might be a year ahead of you then, because I remember the initial COVID lockdown was my junior year of high school.
Yep.
And I was a swimmer in high school. I lost that season. I lost my entire senior season. It's definitely can be hard sometimes looking back on how that changed everything and altered what everyone thought was going to happen with, you know, your last couple of years of school. But it's great to hear that you guys were able to get that in and get those memories that a lot of other people weren't really able to.
Yeah, no, yeah, we didn't miss out on much, which was great. They did a great job with that.
So you mentioned how a lot of guys on that team wound up playing D1 baseball. You, of course, are one. You made the jump to the University of Iowa, which I can only imagine how exciting of a leap that must have been to take.
Oh yeah, grew up in Iowa City a lot. My dad and my little brother had season tickets for football, so we were always down there on weekends going. Probably been to every home game since I was 8 years old, so it's always been like a home away from home, Iowa City. So, you know, when I got the opportunity to play there, couldn't really turn it down, especially handful of the guys in my recruiting class I also grew up playing baseball with, so it was cool just to all be able to go to college together and continue playing baseball at that level.
Do you remember the moment when you found out that you were going to be able to play for them?
Yeah, they kind of reached out to me, and then we talked a little bit, and then took a visit to see some things, and yeah, I just really liked it. It's nice to just be close to home. I have a very supportive family that likes to make it down to my game, so that makes it easy for them to come and watch and everything. So yeah, that was a perfect opportunity for me.
So Iowa City's close by then to be
only an hour and a half away from,
that's good.
From hometown. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's great to be able to have that support, and
Yep.
I mean, on top of everything else, being able to play for a D1 school,
Right.
to have it be so close by and a
Yep.
team that you grew up watching, that's great. It's always interesting to me. I'm from New England, and college sports really just is not a big deal up. You know, we have the University of Maine, which is a D1 school athletically, if you could call it that.
Yeah.
I don't think aside from hockey, they don't really do much. So, growing up, you said you were a Iowa fan. Was that for every sport?
Yeah, every sport. Dad, grandfather, they all graduated from university, so yeah, every sport.
That's so great.
We get to basketball games, huge wrestling state, loved wrestling matches there, and then yeah, the football games were always great to go to.
Do you have any professional sports teams you follow?
Yeah, I'm pretty it's random, but I like Pittsburgh Steelers, Boston Red Sox, and then Chicago Bulls. So yeah, all over the place, but those are my teams.
I like one of those. The Red Sox are having a pretty good season so far this year. It's been a really fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Do you have so baseball, I would imagine, is the sport that you followed closest growing up. You said you're a White Sox fan. Do you have a specific player that you idolized one way or another, molded your game after, that kind of thing?
Yeah, as a Red Sox fan, growing up, really loved Big Papi, David Ortiz.
Hard not to.
I wore number 34 for a little bit when I was little for him. And then Ken Griffey Jr. was always one of my favorite players. I never watched him, but just saw his highlights and really liked the way he swung and played. So yeah, definitely those two.
That's great. So you go to Iowa, but of course we are not in Iowa right now. I don't know if you've noticed. Skyline around here doesn't quite look the same as it does there. What was the process like getting the chance to come up here to Matsu?
Well, originally actually a coach back at school assigned me to Springfield, Illinois team in the Prospect League in the Midwest, and which was fine. And then I want to say Pete reached out to him and tried to get some freshmen to come up, and I think they were all a little homesick and didn't want to go too far away, and everybody was turning down the opportunity. So when I heard that they couldn't get anybody to come up here, I talked to coach and I was like, hey, if you want a guy to come up, like I'll come up. And it was that easy. The next day he had me up here, so I like to get out and experience new things. You know, staying in the Midwest 9 months of the year, it's nice to get out and explore. And you can't really beat a summer up here. This is beautiful.
That's hard for me to imagine that people were having trouble finding people. Like, you'd think it would be the opposite. People would be chomping at the bit to come up here.
Exactly. I couldn't say enough good things about this place up here. It's beautiful.
Is this the furthest away from home you've been, or where else have you been able to travel?
Yeah, last summer I played summer ball in the Appalachian League, so I was in Southwest Virginia, but I still drove out there. It was only about 12 hours from home to drive, so yeah, no, nothing this far.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, this is the furthest away from home I've ever been, and I studied abroad in Spain in the fall, and this is actually significantly further away from Maine than that, which is really cool. It's interesting to me that that's the way that you found your way into this. I still can't quite wrap my head around that. So they were desperately trying to find people, and you were the only one that they could get to say yes to it.
Yeah, I think it was just the freshman class didn't really want to be far away from home in the summer, which I don't blame him. My freshman year, I was kind of timid to go out to Virginia, but I think once you get that first summer ball experience, you realize how great it is and the people you meet and stuff like that, and stay in touch with them to this day. So, yeah, I mean, I think moving forward, we shouldn't have trouble finding guys because Ben and I are going to have a lot of good stuff to say when we go back.
For sure, I'm sure everyone will.
Yeah.
And also it gives the family a chance to, I mean, how many times does a family have an excuse to come out to Alaska? Right. I know my family's out here right now. I'm sure, are your folks going to come up here this summer?
Yeah, my dad's side was just out here last week, and first time everybody's been up here, so they made a week vacation out of it, as they should. So yeah, I loved it. Beautiful.
I think that's a common theme. It's just like, this is kind of a place, I know in my experience anyway, it's a place where like, you always are like, oh, Alaska, that would be cool. I'd love to go to Alaska, but it's so expensive. It's hard to justify a reason to come up here. But if you're essentially getting paid to come up here and play baseball anyway, like how can you turn that down?
Right, yeah. That's the most excuse you need. Get the whole family up here.
So I know obviously baseball is the sport the activity you've been partaking in the most up here. Of course, it's why you're up here, but we've had a lot of off days so far this season, and I know yesterday you and some other folks on the team were able to do something, partake in a little bit of the scenery you see around us. So how's that?
Yeah, it was great. Ben and Christian and I, we went up Lazy Mountain. We've been trying to plan a day to do that since we heard about it at the beginning of summer, so we finally were able to do it and make a good afternoon out of it. It took about 4 hours, but it was tough, a little sore from it today, but it's definitely worth it. Once you get to the top, you can see the whole valley, and yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. I'm not exactly an experienced mountaineer, but you said it is very difficult. It looks, I mean, they call it Lazy Mountain, but what I'm hearing from you is that is not an accurate name.
No, it gets a little treacherous, a little steep at times. It's definitely not dangerous, not a lot of climbing or loose rock, just a lot of steepness and just length. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. I think everybody should do it. What
name would you suggest them changing that to? Moderate mountain?
False mountain, because there's two false peaks that get you. You think you're at the top, and then you look out in the distance, and you have to go another one. So yeah, that's what got us a couple times, tricked us up. But yeah.
Do you climb a lot?
No, just because I didn't really grow up.
Fair enough. I don't know why.
In the Midwest, not a lot of climbing, but I do enjoy taking vacations. I got family in Colorado, and obviously get out to the mountains a lot there and do hikes like that. So yeah, I love climbing when I'm able to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got family out in Montana. That's where my dad's from. So I've done a lot of hiking out there. It's a lot of fun. What do you partake in for fun growing up in a place without many mountains? What are the kind of things that you do back home in Iowa?
A lot of sports. Stayed busy with football, baseball, and basketball growing up, and then I like to fish a lot. My little brother and I like to fish. Got into that. There's mostly bass.
A lot of that up here as well.
Yeah, bass, walleye, stuff like that. Obviously Mississippi has a lot of fish to offer. But yeah, just simple stuff like that. Just hanging out with friends, bonfires, stuff like that. Outdoors. But yeah, we make the most of our summers.
Have you gotten to fish here yet?
Yeah. Went down to the Homer Spit with my host family.
Oh, nice. Down on the Kenai.
Yes, sir. We went after the Kenai trip. Took their camper down. Went out at 6 a.m. Caught a 6 or 7 halibut to take back. So that was great. They're fun to fight, and then first time ever eating halibut. I'm not a big seafood guy, but halibut, I can do halibut. It's not too fishy, so I enjoyed that.
I found out, it's interesting, I'm from right next to the beach. I'm not much of a seafood guy either, but the seafood out here I think is different. I think obviously the fish are different, and the way they prepare it out here, I think it's tough to beat it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Especially my host, Eddie, does a great job preparing that stuff. He has some good recipes for the halibut.
What else have you been able to do that you might not be able to do back home in Iowa so far here?
Yeah, just I guess mostly the sea fishing and hiking and stuff like that. Seeing snow in the middle of July, you can't really see in Iowa. And
do you get snow at all in Iowa?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Our winters can get pretty miserable sometimes. Even we'll have a few games in our season in late February, early March where there might be snowing a little bit, and we have to clear the snow off to play baseball. So yeah, we don't have fun winters. They can get pretty tough sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're nothing compared to the winters that they get here.
No.
It's another reason why we're lucky to be out here the time we are.
Right.
Kind of danced around it a little bit, but of course, the Matsu Miners, the reason you're out here, off right now to a pretty much 500 start, 12-11, but I know you guys are having a lot of fun. What has the experience been like meeting all the new guys and being a part of this team?
Yeah, it's been great. Great group of guys. We all get along very well. It makes it easier to play and play well together when we all get along and just gel like that. And it's great being a position player for this pitching staff, who's phenomenal.
You guys hardly ever even get balls out there.
Yeah, right. It's pretty chill in the outfield usually with those guys on the mound, but yeah, overall it's just been a great experience, especially on this team specifically. Everything's ran very professionally around here and have great facilities compared to I think some of the other places, and even the city of Palmer itself can't be beat. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
You know, we're over halfway through the season, so what is the team dynamic like at this point? How are you guys getting along?
Oh, everything's great. I mean, even off days, we like to get together and do stuff and hang out, and yeah, it's gone by really fast so far. I think we've been enjoying it, and it's kind of crazy that we're already getting through July. So yeah, hopefully we start stringing some things together, because I think we got a good team that can definitely win this league.
Yeah, I think it's a tough spot in the season right now where you guys are kind of right at the edge of the group of teams at the bottom of the standings, and the Bucks, of course, got a couple wins. We're filming this a couple days after the Anchorage Bucks took 2-0 wins in that doubleheader. I'm not entirely sure when this will go up, but at this point in time, what is the mood like in the clubhouse after a game like that?
You know, positive. We don't really hang our heads on stuff like that because there's nothing to do. Just can get your takeaways and learn from it, but move forward. You know, the Bucks are a good team, and we're gonna have to face them at some point again. Obviously, some more regular season games, and we'll definitely see them in the playoffs. So we know they're a beatable team, and we just have to put some things together.
So a little bit more about you now. So are you the kind of person that likes to get pumped up, listen to music a lot before games, or you a much more concentrated person, locked in, that kind of thing?
I do like music. I like my rap music before games. I need something to hype me up and get me going, for sure.
What are some of your top artists?
Drake. Drake is probably my number one. I love listening to Drake. And then I don't know, pregame I like the Drake, Lil Wayne, stuff like that. Some of the I guess rap you heard when I was in middle school. So yeah, that's my kind of go-to. How
do you feel about the country music that gets played on the field before games? You love it, hate it?
I can't stand it. I love country music as much as anybody else, and I'll listen to it all the time. But when I'm at the baseball field, I don't want to hear it. It just doesn't get me in the right mood to play baseball.
How about any other? I know baseball players are definitely a superstitious breed. Do you have any kind of rituals or things that you like to do before every game?
No, I try to stay as far away from superstition as possible. I think it's a slippery slope to start going down when it kind of becomes a mental game if you don't do something before a game that you think you should do, and then kind of throws you off there, almost like placebo effect. So yeah, I try to stay away from all those superstitions, and I do a pretty good job of that.
So what is your kind of pregame routine then?
I do keep my warm-up routine the same, just because it's the same thing we do at school too. So I try to keep that consistent, and it makes me feel good. So go out 25 minutes before the game, get my stretching done, get my arm work in, play catch, and then that's probably the only thing that really will stay consistent. Otherwise, everything else, don't want to have too much superstition in there.
Right. Do you have a meal you like to have beforehand?
No, nothing heavy. I know locker room's always got PB&J sandwiches, so those usually do me well until the post-game meal.
I feel like from the players we've talked to so far, you either eat a ton before the game or you eat nothing.
Yeah, I can't eat that much before a game. I usually keep it light, keep my stomach from being too full.
How about in general though? I know you said you don't like seafood, but what's a general meal in the life of Kellen Strohmeyer?
My roommates and I back home got a Blackstone, so we love anything on that. So I like cooking up steak a lot and eggs, rice, stuff along those lines. Anything meat-based. Yeah, that's what I usually like to plan my meals around.
And I guess really the only regional delicacy you could say here in Alaska is, like you said, the halibut, the seafood. But have you discovered anything out here that you might want to start introducing into that rotation, or no?
I think halibut might be the only thing, but I don't know if there's any good halibut.
Tough to
in Iowa.
get that in
Yeah.
Iowa City, or at least not fresh.
I don't think it'd taste good if it's from Iowa City for sure. So, but yeah, that's by far been my favorite food. I tried actually salmon for the first time ever up here, but it's just not something I love. So, but yeah, just like I said, I'm not a big seafood fan.
Yeah, that's I hear you in that, and it's funny. Like I don't like lobster. That's the big thing in Maine. I don't like really any kind of shellfish, that kind of seafood that they catch in the Atlantic. It's all about just adjusting to where you are. Obviously, here in Alaska, there's a lot of other stuff you can have to eat as well. Talked about the food. Is there anything that you've? I mentioned, like, obviously you've been hiking a lot, and that's not something you've done out in Iowa much, but other things that you've experienced, any like, I don't know, like chain restaurants or something that you saw for the first time, or just something that gave you a little bit of culture shock, like, wow, I've never been this far away from home?
I don't know if it's more the restaurants around here, but the first thing that really like shocked me was definitely the daylight thing.
Oh yeah.
It was tough the first couple of days trying to get to sleep, and then sleeping through the night when there's sun shining through my window at 3 a.m. So yeah, that was the first thing that really was like, wow, this is a whole new world up here. But yeah, I've finally been able to adjust to that. Obviously, you gotta have some blackout blinds and a sleep mask. But
I was gonna say, so you didn't have those at the beginning of the year. That's a amateur hour.
Right. Yeah. No, I came unprepared for that for sure. It was a rough first few nights with the midnight sunlight.
I'm sure with the time difference too. It's just like,
oh yeah,
you feel like the night is just never gonna come. It's definitely strange.
Right. Yeah. It's tough to adjust to, but first few days you get used to it eventually.
I think for me, it's been that, and then also just walking out the door and seeing all the mountains around. We've got some in the shot right now, but the bigger mountains are off that way. And of course, even if you drive, they get bigger and bigger.
Right.
That is not a view that you get anywhere else in the country. I'm sure you don't get it in Iowa, but
no.
Even in a place like New England, like, that is still something that I don't think I'm ever going to get used to.
Right. Yeah. I even ask like my host family and the locals, like, does this ever get old, or the views ever get old? And they're just like, no. I was like, yeah, I can't imagine they do. I don't think I could ever get sick of these views around here for sure.
So after this summer, you're going to be heading back to the University of Iowa. After that, what are you hoping to take back to Iowa City that you've learned up here in Alaska?
Just more experience, just more at bats, just to hopefully continue in the fall ball. And obviously didn't get a ton of at bats last year, so it's nice getting up here and getting a lot of at bats in and just kind of getting in the rhythm and seeing pitches and stuff like that. So it's kind of my biggest takeaway is just the experience.
Are you feeling like that's going to be paving the way toward more at bats next year?
Yeah, definitely. Just talking coaches and everything. That's just kind of what you need here as a younger guy, is just the experience and at bats. So summer ball is the place to do it.
And then after that, of course, obviously the dream is you keep on playing, go up through the minor leagues and whatnot. But if that doesn't come to pass, what's the next career that you're thinking about?
Currently, I'm majoring in exercise science, so I'm thinking something along those lines in this maybe strength and conditioning world. But I don't know. I'm pretty indecisive about that stuff, so that's probably going to change within my last 3 years of school. But definitely, I'd like to stay somewhere in the sports world. I think I'd enjoy that. So I don't know what that's going to look like or where that'll be, but I'm sure time will tell.
With the experience you get up here, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you can translate if you want to be a trainer or a coach or what have you. It's definitely a lot of options get opened in that part of the job market.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, coming from bigger state school like Iowa too, I think it'll open up a lot of opportunities for me.
Well, here's hoping that you're able to make it and see you one day on the Boston Red Sox.
Yes, of course, that's the dream.
This has been another episode of Valley Chats. We hope all you watching on YouTube enjoyed it. This has been Kellen Strohmeyer. So happy for you to join the show today. It's been great to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for talking.
I've been Charlie Fellows, and have a good one.